Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome back to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's episode we're going to be doing another one of the list building with Zax kind of thing, and honestly I had a lot of fun last time. There was a few tweaks we needed to make, so we've done that already and we're going to jump into another game. So what I wanted to look at just quickly is something I'll try and do at the beginning of most videos. I'll try and do it in as many as I can do, is looking at the list itself and seeing sort of what we're working with. So for now we've got Maximus over here and Deadeye as our early one drop. So I said previously, you want to make sure you have at least one drop most of the time, one drop rather. Sometimes you want two, just in case you're going second and you get that extra leadership on your first turn. So if you're going second, you go two leadership into two leadership, and it can be really useful to put down a couple of models sometimes instead of just one bigger one. We've got Axel Pyro over here and Detonia are sort of competing two drops along with Broken Vengeance. So Broken Vengeance is one of our new additions that wasn't in the last version of the list, and we've also got Stitchy McPatchy here as well. Another one drop, but you don't play him on turn one. And then our follow-ups here, we've got Flurry, Shrapnel and Dr. Feelbad. So what you'll notice in general, we've got one drops, two drops, three drops with Arya, who's got our ambush ability. Then we've got 4 drop, 5 drop, 6 drop. So if we need to, we can be efficient with our leadership every single turn. If we don't need to, we can just play things out of phase. So maybe instead of playing Arya, we could play our other 1 drop and our other 2 drop if we haven't done so already. Give us that bit of flexibility. So this is what we're going to be taking into the next game. We're going to be seeing if there's any improvements we can think of from here, and trying to see how to progress this list to bring it to the same levels of opponents that we're facing. So if you're enjoying this content, one thing I want to say is thank you for subscribing. I've noticed the last few days there's been the biggest amount of growth this channel has had since Moonbreaker first released. We've hit over 200 subscribers, so that is a huge achievement for us. We're actually up to 206 right now. That is incredible. I'm so happy. The last video has got over 100 views in less than 24 hours, so this is such an influx of energy and of just excitement for me as a player, and as a content creator it means a lot. So thank you to every single one of you. This really does fuel me and make me realise that there is a chance I could actually keep pushing this through and eventually hit that 1,000 subscriber mark when we can start making some monetization out of it through YouTube, which it would be the dream, but I'm doing this because I like it and I'm having a lot of fun. So here we are, the list's ready to go. We're going to jump into a game and see what we can find. Now, I had a couple of people in the comment down on Discord ask me what the queue times are like, and I just wanted to address that quickly. The queue times have been fairly good recently. I'm someone who's got sort of a higher MMR, so behind the scenes matchmaking rating, so there is a limit on who I can actually end up being paired against that was put in by the dev team, so it can take longer for me to find a game than it will for most newer players. Found one though already, so it's not as bad as it used to be. Quite long queue times. Sometimes you'd previously have to queue multiple times. I haven't had that issue in quite a while. It's not come up since I've come back to making these videos. It's not been relevant. So we're against Wayjack. We've got a Chuck portrait and an Extilior, which is quite, I think that's the basic Extilior skin, but I can't tell. If it's not, it's well painted. Dead hot. I do love the voice lines. Matt Mercer there. Oh, this one with these two are really not that far apart, so this is interesting for them to be able to control. So the first thing we're going to want to do is see if we can just get any line of sight. There's not much to do with these because next turn we're going to have a chance to just shoot that with 2 things anyway. So that missed, that's fine. I think given how far up we are, we want to go with Deadeye first. We're not going to have that much luck, and then to be completely honest, I'm just going to pull Zax back down here. We don't want to pull Deadeye because Deadeye can function quite effectively from back there with the buff to range attacks, so we're likely to be moving Zax more than Deadeye. If they move around this direction, play fairly safe, that's a very reasonable option. We might just play something else more defensive over here and just position either side of this piece of terrain to make it harder for them to encroach on us. So this is a fairly good position for our opponent. They're playing fairly safe. Okay, so it's their Maximus. Interesting. Now, if this explodes, it deals damage to them. So I think the problem is with this, if we actually attack with both of our units into that, it's not going to be enough. So can we get a good line of sight onto Maximus? The answer initially is going to be no. So we can move over here and get something like an 80% shot. So what I'm going to do, we've only got 3 Cinder here, so we want to deploy something fairly safe. Broken Vengeance is fantastic into Maximus, so I'm just going to deploy him over here. We're going to move over here ourselves to try and get this fairly reasonable shot here. And then to try and be a little bit of a pressure, play for some pressure here, we can actually aggressively grav disc ourselves down. And we're going to use this to put more pressure onto Maximus, and we can just use our last Cinder here for Sleeper Mines. So there you go. Not only, oh, there you go. That was a good range shot. It actually took them off the objective as well. So I'm going to pop this just down here. I don't want it too far up so it doesn't get caught on the terrain if we try and grav disc our mine next turn. But this means that if they want to kill this, they have to move all the way up and spin. So we're going to take damage here no matter what. I think we've pretty much come to accept that. And Maximus can probably move somewhere fairly safe. But if they want to keep playing, we're going to have... Oh, if they go back to the same spot, that's great for us. That's really good for us. Okay, so the reason this is good for us, they're near the mine, which they could potentially kill with Exterior. They could just take it out. But they're also near this explosive here. So there is a world in which we just grav disc all of these together, destroy this, and just wipe out both of their units in one turn. Because these deal, I think it's 4 damage in these? 4 damage when they explode. So if we can get a big enough grav disc, we might be able to clear out multiple units at once here. Have they got one more to deploy? What are they going with? If this all sits in a ball, we can take really good advantage of this as a Zax player. This is somewhere that Detonia might have been really useful instead of Broken Vengeance, but we might be using all of us into here. So the question is basically how far can we pull them together? I wonder where they're going to go. Quite a few. Looks like they're having fun choosing. It's really difficult to learn where to position things early on. Okay, so that I feel is likely to be a bit of a mistake, but let's see what we can do with the grav discs here. So I actually think one thing we're going to want to do is move up before we do the grav disc. Because if what we want to do is try and get as many different things up as possible. And this looks as though it might just do what we need. So pull everything in together. The question is, did it hit this? So it didn't hit the mine, which is the important part here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up to here, get to a high 50s amount. I'm going to put the extra accuracy on Broken Vengeance because he's going to be further away. We're going to move here and shoot this. Wow, okay. I was not expecting to miss that. So I guess we shoot here. And this is the best shot we've got. If this hits 50-50... Okay, so we actually failed pretty miserably there. Like, that's actually a really bad thing to have happened for us. So how do we want to follow up from here? We've got 3 Cinder, so 3 Leadership rather. I think what I'm going to go with is I'm going to put Axle Pyro down here because dealing with some of these could be really nice, and then we'll pop our own Maximus maybe. I'm not going to worry about the objectives for now. I'm going to try and play for safety. So that miss there, the fact that we missed from that distance is terrible for us. If I were them actually, I'd consider just trying to destroy that from range so that I didn't use it against them next turn. This I'm not so worried about. We've got a good amount of damage here so we can probably clear up Detonia. It's almost definite that Maximus is going to die pretty much wherever he hides, especially if he goes over here somewhere. They're going to want to take out Axel because of how dangerous his AoE is, but it looks like they might just be going for full-on damage the face situation. Okay, yep, that's what they're going for, so we're going to have to go for a different strategy. We do want to still clear out their units, but what we're going to want to do is take basically make as much use out of move blocking, basically. So we want to make sure Extilio can't get as near to us as he might like, and stay as far away as possible. And that's definitely something we've got the option of doing here. So this is inconvenient, but Broken Vengeance is useful for that reason. We got some attacks back at least, which we wouldn't have done if they'd gone over here. And it's all down to what they play now. Okay, so Torian's something that needs to die, but that's okay. We have got things that can achieve that here. Maximus moving there gives us options. We need to choose what we want to try and kill. It could just be that looking at our Cinder quota, we're going for a grav disc over this way and trying to pull it all in again. There we go. So yet again, pulling things together with the grav disc is going to be huge for us here. So if we pull all of these in, we can move Axle Pyro over here. In fact, which angle gets us the best? So I'm going to go here. I think this gives us the best angle at hitting everything we need. So there we go. We hit absolutely everything we want to, and we get tucked back a little bit. How far can we get? That looks pretty good to me. There we go, and we got that explosion, wiping out almost all of their units at once, which is fantastic for us. So the question is, what do we want to try and finish off? I actually think it might be worth trying to finish off Antios here. So bringing ourselves up over here, taking a 90% shot, or... So this is 93, but what we can do... we've actually not got enough leadership, that was my mistake. So do that. This was actually the incorrect order, funnily enough. I'm going to pop a sleeper mine down here. So we're going to, just so you know, we're going to lose Axle Pyro here, but we're not going to lose too many other things in theory. Okay, we did get a hit. That was quite close there. And we're just going to move back here. So they can move on to us again if they want to, but I'm not as worried about that. What I think we're actually going to do is deploy Aria here and just stitch you back here to protect us. I was a bit slow on that, but we want to put more threats around to make it more difficult for them, and we want to get that longevity, you know, that lasting game. So being able to heal, we're going to be able to use things here to move block Extilior for the future. We're going to be happy to throw our units away turn after turn here if it means that we stay alive, but we're going to be able to turn around onto Extilior fairly quickly. So whatever they play, they're in theory not going to have enough damage to kill everything that they're going to want to. So we can start trying to deal with that ourselves. So what's the answer going to be? Funnily enough, this here, this cinder pile, might be another situation where this works out well for us, especially if they deploy over this side and we can just pull things back together. Okay, so they've got hit and run. Hit and run's a great choice for them here. Very powerful unit, but we might just be able to gravity disc the game in our favour. So if we try doing this first, this could go badly, because if we do badly on this grav disc, we actually just lose. So what I think we want to do is ignore that and just pull things together this way and not take the risk. So we want to be as safe as we can be rather than taking any unnecessary risks. So Axle Pyro can probably get to one unit here, it seems, so we'll just pop a bit of damage down onto Stitchy, take him out for next turn. We're going to move back over here. We're going to shoot this to just sort of put it out of range a little. Pop a sleeper mine down. Again, we're looking to move block here more than anything, so that's going to be the big aim. We're going to start healing up. Aria can come and just do her business over here. We're not going to take any unnecessary risks. We will pop Shrapnel down here as an extra bit of move blocking, because Shrapnel can take a hit. And we're just going to move over here and try and just frustrate hit and run, basically. So make it difficult for hit and run to do anything. They're doing okay on points, but I think they should be dead before the points come into effect, really. They can spin here, hit, but they're not going to get anything down. They can't deal with Stitchy, and we're going to be not far off from being able to take this out. So what I want to look at now is what hasn't been useful. So Flurry here is a liability. That's not something we want. Stitchy has been a good addition, and Dr. Feelbad feels very expensive for something that doesn't necessarily add much to the table, so I want to keep that in mind so far and see if we got any other options for later. But for now, we're going to focus on trying to win this game. Wayjack is still doing their best to pretty much gut us as much as possible, which is absolutely what they should be doing at this point in time. It's just the case that we need to try and take out hit and run and whatever they deploy each turn. So what I think is likely this turn is if we move back here with Shrapnel, and we can try and pull these things in together and AoE over here again. We're going to want to heal every turn, basically, is the thing. And now we're going to need to start looking at contesting objectives. Okay, this works. So what we're going to do is we're going to move Shrapnel back here and try and stay safe a little bit, and see how big a grav disc we can pull together. So this looks like it will work at least a reasonable amount, pulling things in. So we're going to go for that and try and get that damage across the board. Okay. Ah, that's going to hit our own unit there. So we're going to go for the damage onto the captain and just pull back slightly, push more damage through, take as much as we can. Can we get Axel into range? We can just about, it looks like. So Axel's going to put them down here. And it looks like we might actually be in range to just finish this off. So let's take no risks. We'll stillness here and shoot there. And we'll pop in here, release the Ozos on here. So take that shot and we've ended the game. So you'll notice what we did there is what I talked about in the last video. My preferred method of playing games is to try and gradually whittle down the crew so that when I turn on the enemy captain, I've got the advantage in a race. Now, like I said before, I'm not playing as much Moonbreaker I have not played as much Moonbreaker recently as I had at some point in time, so I'm not quite familiar when that turning point is, you know, when to go onto the captain and that sort of pivotal moment where you realise you can win the race before they can react to it. And that's something that I need to get more familiar with. But in this one, I played it a bit safe. I started killing the units. I sort of playing down Stitchy was actually a really important change in that match because it meant that we could start healing back up as and when we needed to. So the concerns I've got with this list, I don't necessarily feel like we need all of our 2-drops. However, I think they're all very powerful, and I'm not sure I want to get rid of one quite yet. But what I might consider doing is ditching one and then maybe bringing it back in at a future point in time. So Broken Vengeance is one I want to keep, so is Detonia, and so is Axel. That's where the problem comes in. I want all of them. With this section here, Flurry and Feel Bad are very powerful, but Feel Bad was too expensive to play. We couldn't get him down early enough, and I'm trying to think what there could be better options of, and Flurry was literally a liability. If we'd have played that, there's a good chance we'd have lost. So we'll have a look at our opponent's list, see what we had that we didn't see. So we didn't see Talali, Crash, Yuki, and I think everything else we saw on the battlefield. And the thing with these is that these are very, very expensive units. Talali is incredible with Crash. It's very good with Hit and Run and Antios. Fairly good with these two, but again, it's a lot of investment and finding that spot in the curve. So I think their list looks quite good, but yeah, we did fairly well, and we ended up taking that game down versus Wayjack. So well done, Wayjack, for playing. It was really appreciated having a good opponent there. I think you played quite well. And let's see what we can do here. So I am going to try taking out Feel Bad. So the reason I want to take out Feel Bad is mostly just the cost and seeing what we can look at here and finding other ways of like involving ourselves in the game. Torian's a really good defensive unit. It does hit back a little bit. Taria's fairly reasonable. We did have that in previously, I believe, but it wasn't quite right for us at the time. I think Peacemaker Balance was very good. We could just go Florio. So Florio is expensive, but it's a really, really good late game. So it's more expensive and Feel Bad, but more directly impactful, which can be nice. Turncoat is a really good utility piece. It can be difficult if you're behind, but can turn games around for you if it comes through. So let's see what we want to do. I think I'm definitely wanting cheaper. I think it might be Turncoat. So Turncoat is more powerful because we've got such good move blocking tools with our Gravity Disc, our Mine and that sort of thing. So Turncoat could be quite valuable in this situation. Again, the static defences are just too immobile. I know that's the point of them, but they don't get to where you need them to. So regardless of the power, it's often very difficult to use. Hit and Run wasn't right for this list. I think I'm going to try in Turncoat. Turncoat can be really powerful and sort of change the sort of whole pace of the game. And the other option is Beatrice. So I'm going to try, just for the sake of the video and testing things out and getting a better understanding, swapping Detonia for Beatrice. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to swap Axel for Beatrice. So Axel is incredible in that game, deals a ton of damage in an AoE, but the short range is really, really difficult to use. And in fact, it needs line of sight as well. It means Detonia's got that little bit more flexibility. It might be that this turns out being a mistake, but having some front line, some beef that can sort of sit there, take hits, especially now that we've got Stitchy in there to heal it back up, this could be what we want to look at for the next game. So there we have it. Our next video, our next development game, we're going to try another one after this and see if this is something we can work out. For reference as well, Beatrice and Flurry do work quite well together. She can pierce through, hit her own friend Flurry, and do more and more AoEs. So this is what we're going to try in the third video. If you've enjoyed this, like I said, please do like, comment, subscribe, join us on Patreon in the description down below. The subscriptions have meant the world to me this last few days. You would have been able to tell the difference in my mood if you did sort of see me in real life. I've been constantly showing my partner all of the different like subscribers. She must be getting fed up of me being like, look, it's gone up to 206 now. But I feel like a giddy child. So thank you everyone for all of your support. Thank you so much for watching, and most importantly, have a good day.